Mike Owens here. Today I'm joined by Dricus du Plessis, who on Saturday night, UFC 285, takes his biggest test in the taking a fight in the top five versus Derek Brunson. Dricus, always good to get your time. How are things with you today?
Mike, all good, all good. Thank you for having me once again. Feeling great. Having two back-to-back camps like I just had, and we only had 2 weeks off after the last one. Feeling absolutely great. It's good to be back. It feels like I never really. It feels like I just was away for like a weekend or something. Getting back here at home Vegas, T-Mobile. It's great to be here.
Look, there's been a very gradual escalation in your UFC career in terms of the competition. I know that when we last spoke, the Darren Till fight was a big deal to you getting to get the fight against Till. Obviously, now you're fighting a guy ranked number 5 in the division. Does this fight feel any different to you at all?
Yeah, actually, not at all. Darren Till, yeah, in terms of ranking, just because of his inactivity, he was he wasn't close to the top five. But the magnitude of a fight like Darren Till is exactly the same as this. I think Darren Till might even be a bigger name than Derek Brunson, if it has to be. But completely different fights, completely different outlooks. But one thing that I do have is I just competed with the best in the world, some of the best in the world. Derek Brunson and Darren Till was a very close fight, and it was, Till actually put Derek Brunson down, and he caught him. Till definitely didn't put me down, and also he stuffed a few of Derek's takedowns.
Yeah.
And let's say he stuffed around like out of 7 takedowns, I think he stuffed 3 of them. Whereas with myself, I landed those 6 takedowns and 6 out of 6. So, and the Darren Till that fought Derek Brunson was the worst shaped Darren Till we've ever seen. 100%. And the Darren Till that showed up against me was good. Darren Till that showed up against me was, I mean, in that second round, he took a beating in that first round, and he was still in that second round, he was fit. He wasn't breathing heavy. He was looking really good. So I knew I had a fight on my hands. But now I'm used to fighting. Darren Till was my entry to the top 10, and here I am fighting a top 5 guy, and it's a massive privilege for me. And the stakes are high, and that's how I treated my camp. Like, the stakes are high, and I'm ready for this, even more ready than I was for Darren. And I can't wait to go out there and claim that top 5 spot.
You mentioned the takedowns there, and it was something I wanted to get into, because if you look at your previous opponents, we're generally looking at strikers in terms of Till, Brad Tavares, and obviously Trevin Giles. Does it feel like a different test going in, given that we know what Brunson's MO is going to be? He's going to want to get you on the ground and control you there.
Yeah, I think this is a big test. I think this is where for not for me, I know what I know. I think this is a taste from the UFC side of saying, listen, let's give him a wrestling, grappling type of guy and see how he deals with that. Let's give him a scrappy guy, not this technical strikers we've been giving him, and see how he deals with that. And I'm really looking forward to proving myself and proving to them that I'm the whole package. Everything you throw at me, I'm willing to do with it in any area of MMA. To wrestle with Brunson it doesn't bother me at all. I'm ready for that. If he goes to the ground, I'm 100% ready for that. And if it stays standing, I will pick him apart.
Where do you think Derek Brunson is in his career at the moment? I mean, he's obviously had those massive fights against the likes of Whittaker and Adesanya. He's coming off the loss to Cannonier, who went on to fight for a title, so not too far out of the title picture. Where do you think he is in terms of his own positioning?
Yeah, listen, a lot of people say, oh, he's old, he's a has-been old. People get. I have the world of respect for Derek Brunson. He's fought so many good guys. I mean, he took Yoel Romero down 4 times. Yoel couldn't take him down once. He is a legend in the sport, in my opinion. He's fought the who is who, and he always comes to fight. But after his loss to Cannonier, he contemplated retirement. In fact, he announced retirement. And then after a while said, no, he's looking at the fights and he can beat these guys and he's coming back. That tells me something. You're already contemplating retirement. That where he's in his career, he's looking. There's 2 fights left for him to have the most wins in the middleweight history, if I'm not mistaken. But that's not motivation enough to where we're going on Saturday night. If we're going to that dark place where Darren Till found himself, where Brad Tavares found himself, That's where I live. That's where I'm comfortable at. When you go to that dark place, you need to be a certain type of human. You need to have a certain type of mindset and drive in you to keep on going and not give up. And I'm not saying he's a quitter at all. He is definitely not. But what I'm saying is when you go to that dark place and you've already decided in your mind that I've retired and I'm considering retirement, where he is at 100%, that's already in his subconscious mind. When retirement is an option, when you're giving up on the career, when you move on from this career is an option, when you go into the fight with me, I'm going to expose that and I will find that quit in you. And that's what I'm saying is if you're contemplating retirement, if you are thinking about retirement, when you fight me, you will 100% realize that that's where you should be going.
Yeah. No, you're completely right at what you're saying, especially about the part about Brunson being a legend of the sport. He's certainly been a pioneer in the middleweight division, as you mentioned. But one thing, and I want to be respectful with how I asked this question to Derek Brunson, but when you look at his records and you look at the losses he's had, they have been devastating. I think 7 of 9 have come by KO or TKO. And as obviously to some of the bigger names who went to fight on for the titles. With that being said, with you going into this fight on Saturday night, how important is getting Brunson out of there and getting that finish on your record?
Yeah, absolutely. I've only had one fight in my whole career in 20 fights that's gone the distance. And no, I ticked that box. And that was a great fight. Like I said, if a fight has to be like that and going the distance, I have no problem with it whatsoever. That was an amazing showdown with Brad Tavares, and no shame in going to decision in that fight. But when it comes to, I've ticked the box, and with Till, like I'm chasing that finish like I always do. I'm always looking for that finish, and it might look like I'm gonna gas. It might look like I'm getting tired, but ask my opponents how they felt during that time. The flurry that never stops. It's a flurry from the beginning till the end. And yeah, I do get tired, but I'm prepared for that. That's how I train as well. So once the fight comes, I'm ready for it. And a guy like Derek Brunson, to get a finish on him, he's never been submitted in his whole career. And to get a submission on a guy like that would truly make a statement. And obviously to knock a guy out like that is for me to get into the top 5, getting that submission or knockout. That's what I'm going for. And that'll be my mindset from the first second that fight starts till the end, is to get that finish.
There's been a narrative in your last 2 fights on the commentary about your gas tank and about you potentially you running out of gas in those fights. You obviously never, which proves that theory wrong. But what did you make when watching the likes of the Tavares and the Till fight back and hearing how the commentators were talking about your energy levels?
Yeah, especially in the Tavares fight, I think they didn't know. One thing is my nose is pretty busted up. I'll get that fixed after this fight. It's been for a few years, but the fact is that I do breathe through my mouth, and my output is extremely high. So yes, I do get tired 100%, but I don't get tired when I can't perform anymore. Like I always look tired, but I mean, if you look at the Tavares fight, I was throwing bombs up until the end. Even with the Till fight, yes, that first round was. It's not unfortunate. It's just something that you can't really plan for, to get that and hit 60 strikes in a minute, and landing powerful strikes, and then the heart rate then having his back. So it was a full speed. Heart rate went from 60 to 200 in a matter of seconds. And the second round came out, like I said, there's not an excuse at all. There's something was up with my legs. I don't know what it was, but it took me around 2 minutes where I just relaxed a little. 2 to 3 minutes where, I mean, he was teeing off and he was landing, but he didn't have the power to really hurt me, and I was recovering. Then I got the takedown again. By the third round, I was ready to go. You can see when I came out that third round against Till, my energy was, I was back. I was recovering in that second round, and third round I could push the pace, and he couldn't recover. And at the end of the day, that's what's important. Even though they say I gas, if I'm gassed, I wouldn't be winning those fights in the final round.
Yeah, 100%. Obviously, this fight on paper is number 5 versus number 10. But I think in many ways, given where the middleweight division is, this is a bigger fight than what it looks on paper. Because you've obviously had the likes of Vettori and the likes of Cannonier, or still in the top 5, who've already had their shot at the title. In many ways, Robert Whittaker is in that ballpark too. So when you look at this fight, and obviously the prime focus is the win on Saturday night, where do you think a win over Derek Brunson puts you in the middleweight title picture?
I 100% believe after this fight, I'm getting a number one contender fight. I think I deserve it. I think there will be no doubt after Saturday night. Saturday night is the prime objective here. It's a prime goal, and putting up the best performance that I possibly can, putting up a world champion performance to prove that I need to be in the conversation for the number one contender. That is my goal for Saturday night, and that is what's going to happen. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to prove that I deserve to be in a title contender challenge. And I don't know what the plans is. Are they going to do Whitaker and comes up? Because that's almost the way they're leaning. And I would like to fight the winner of that fight for number one contender spot.
In terms of the middleweight title picture, we've obviously got the fourth fight between Adesanya and Alex Pereira now booked for April. Who do you see taking that fourth fight? What's your prediction for that fight?
It's very interesting. I think Adesanya, might win this one. I really do. I think he has the hunger and everything he needs to get that win. He has in terms of mentality. Alex Pereira, he came, he saw, he conquered. I believe that's where his mind's at. He did what he set out to do. He's beaten Adesanya at his new sport. He's beaten him 3 times. So that is a big statement. He's probably one of the best combat sports athletes ever. Mm. So, I do believe if he, I do think about, does he still have the hunger to defend the belt, the hunger that Izzy has. And obviously the fact that Izzy was dominating that fight up until he got, well, not dominating, but he was winning that fight up until he got caught. Does Pereira have the heart and the will to go out and beat Izzy a 5th or 4th time? Or is he almost going through the paces now? Whereas Izzy, this is for him, I think it's a live or die. It's, if I can't beat this guy, I honestly believe if Izzy loses this fight, he's going to just say, well, I'm done. Mm. Because it's a hard mental blow. So it's an interesting fight. It's a hard prediction to make, but I do believe Izzy is taking back the title.
Of course. From a selfish point of view, I think every time we've spoken in multiple interviews, you mentioned the prospect of you want to be the first African champion to win the belt coming from Africa. You've mentioned the thought of UFC Africa potentially one day happening. So from a selfish point of view, I would presume you want Adesanya to defeat Pereira, because the chances of Adesanya du Plessis at UFC Africa is a lot more likely than du Plessis facing any of the other contenders in your
100%. And also to have the ability to show them what a real African, how he does it, what real African power feels like. The guy breathing in the air, the guy that lives on the African soil, and prove that I don't have to move to some place to be better. I'll do it from my home continent, from my home country, South Africa.
Very much a loaded question, so feel free to answer this however you like. But what do you make of Adesanya carrying an African flag, but yet not actually training out of an African nation?
Each to his own. I don't know. No, he's proud of his heritage, and that's something I have to. His heritage African, and that's I respect that. He's proud of his heritage. He makes no. He doesn't show any shame of being from Africa, where his humble beginnings is, and that's something that I actually respect. But if you show his fighting, where is he fighting out of? Where is he training from? Where is he a citizen? He's obviously a citizen of New Zealand. He is a New Zealand fighter. He's fighting out of New Zealand. He's been living there 90% of his life. So, in my opinion, he's from New Zealand. He's not from Africa. He was born in Africa 100%. And like I said, I have no problem at all with him wearing his flag, with him being proud of his heritage at all. That's his own, that's his right, and that's his. He's proud of it. Like I said, being proud of your humble beginnings, it's something I can look up to.
No, I completely agree. Obviously, I was looking at your record the last couple of fights, and I don't think I've seen anybody in quite a while who's fought on as many undercards as some of the biggest names in the sport. Like 3 of your last 4 fights will have been on the undercards of Conor McGregor, Israel Adesanya, and then Jon Jones' return. Like, massive events. And with that being said, I've kind of got to, of course, you want to have those own events in your own right and be the pay-per-view main eventer in the not too distant future. But with that being said, I've got to ask about the main event and Jon Jones' has returned against Cyril Gane. I'll ask you this plainly: do you think the King or the GOAT reclaims the throne?
100%. I think Jon Jones is coming back to his. But I mean, I can't be biased. I'm a massive fan, always have been, and I think I honestly think we're gonna be shocked. And I mean, for him, the odds are so high. So the stakes are extremely high for him to come here and just prove GOAT status. In my opinion, he is for now the GOAT of MMA, and I honestly believe that after this win, there's no more denying that. So I think he's winning this fight. I think he has too much tools for the heavyweights at this stage. I think the heavyweights just don't move the way he does. They don't have as many weapons in the arsenal because they've always been able to rely on their power.
Last one from me, because we've got to talk about MSP very quickly, who is also on the undercard once again, mirroring your experience at 282. Just very quickly, for anybody who isn't aware of Cameron's fight, how proud and excited are you to see him back in action on the same undercard?
I'm so excited for this. Cameron, he puts in the work, and we this is our second camp back to back where we train together, camp together, travel together. The guy is especially for his age, he's very mature in the sport, and listen, he gets better every single day. And I'm a lot less stressed right now than I was in the first fight, because the first fight is that UFC jitters. That first time you make the UFC walk, how's that going to affect you? But now he's done it, and he showed, listen, this guy, he can do whatever he has to get that win, and I have all the faith in the world. He is something special, and he's going to be a champion in his own right one day, 100%. And I can't wait to see him perform and prove to the world what he can do. And that's not only me, one of almost you can call it a lucky draw from South Africa and from our team CIT in Pretoria, under our same coach Monefa. So it's not a lucky draw. It's the system we use. It's what we've been taught, and under who we train, and whatever is possible out of South Africa and Africa. And that's what makes me so proud, is that there's not just one of me, there's two of us. And there's so many fighters coming up now through our gym's ranks, through the country's ranks, that is definitely going to be on the same UFC scene in the very near future. And I honestly believe Cameron is going to put up another performance bonus winning performance, 100%.
I love it. Well, I love seeing you both in action back on the same card. I've caught up with Cameron a couple of weeks ago, but Dricus, it's always a pleasure to catch up with you, my friend. And if we don't speak before, I wish you the best of luck for Saturday night.
Mate, always the best to talk to you. Thank you so much for everything. I really appreciate it.